In this video, I talk about Tecfidera for MS, why suddenly I stopped taking it, and the common side effects. This is my review. But before we go there, I'm Jen DeTracy. This is Women Thriving with MS. If you haven't subscribed to this channel before, be sure to do that below. And if you are a woman living with MS, be sure to check out the Facebook group below. I've thrown in a link. I'd love to have you join. So let's dive right in. First of all, I will talk in a moment about the common side effects of Tecfidera. I'd like first to share my experience with this whole going into the drug thing, because I really wanted to stay drug-free, but I had an arrangement with my neurologist. She wanted me to go on Tecfidera. She supported me in staying natural as long as I didn't have any new lesions in my MRI. At least 5 years ago now, I had an MRI and there was a new lesion on my brain, and also there was a lesion on my neck, so on my spine, or the upper part. And because of my fear around having a lesion on my spine, I decided to go on Tecfidera. The thing about having a lesion in your brain is they can come and go, but according to my neurologist, having a lesion on the spine is more worrisome because they don't really disappear. I all of a sudden had a huge amount of fear that I would lose my mobility, and because I am a very mobile person, the biggest challenge that I face living with MS is fatigue. That was really scary to me. So I went on Tecfidera. I was told there would be some side effects. There are actually quite a few, and the two key areas that the side effects exist are around flushing, which is when your face and neck turn red like a beet. It's almost like you light a match and there's a fire. That's what it's like. And it happens shortly after you take the medication. Now, that doesn't happen for everyone, but it happened for me, and I'll talk more about that in a second. And then stomach issues, GI issues. So that's like nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, stomach upset, stomach pain, indigestion, difficulty with digestion. You know, it's recommended you take food with Tecfidera because it is hard on the gut and because of the flushing. So I had my meal in the morning, I took my pill, and then, I don't know, it wasn't even very long. It might have been like 10, 15 minutes later, I was like a tomato. I even went to the mirror, I took a picture of myself, I sent it to my sweetie, I'm like, look at this. It was hardcore. And so, you know, you're told, okay, don't worry about it, that flushing's over time, it should minimize itself, it shouldn't be a problem. But think about it, you're taking this medication twice a day. You're taking it in the morning, you're taking it at night. That means that if you are flushing, you're flushing twice in a day, it can randomly come up for you. So here I am, a business person attending meetings and events, and I'm worried that I'm gonna like, the match is gonna light and I'm just gonna turn into a tomato. And also at that time I was starting to have menopause, so I'm already feeling overheated, and now I'm getting burning on my face and neck, and it's red. And it takes a while to dissipate. Very uncomfortable, but also publicly very embarrassing. And then you've got to come out to people that you've got MS, and then da-da-da-da, you know? It's like a journey. I was told that I could take aspirin for 7 days in a row, like a small, either baby aspirin or just one adult aspirin after eating my food, and then wait 15 minutes and then take the Tecfidera. So I did that, and you do that for a week, but my neurologist did not want me taking aspirin all the time, too hard on the stomach, right? So now I'm taking a drug to prevent side effects from another drug. Did it work? So-so. I mean, when I was judged on flushing, it was like 80% out of 100. Like I was scoring really high. That was not pleasant whatsoever. The other thing though that was happening is I already had, you know, a lot of people have gut issues that live with MS, whether it's IBS. I had done some work on my gut, but it wasn't perfect. So I was still having stomach issues. So add to that a drug that's really hard on your stomach, and that ain't fun. During that first year, I was stable. I didn't have any new lesions or anything going on. So you could attribute that to the drugs, or you could just attribute it to the fact that before this MRI, I really hadn't had any progression showing up in the MRI. I had been having relapses, but at this point, when I started taking Tecfidera, my relapses were lessening and lessening, not only in intensity, probably just in intensity at that point. I still was having a relapse maybe once a year or every 9 months kind of thing, and it was vertigo. So that's what was going on. But it wasn't as extreme as it was when I wasn't on the medication. Maybe that helped, but already I had gone being drug-free for, I think at that point, like 3-4 years, and the relapses had become less. So, you know, it's a one or another. How do you know what it is at the end of the day, right? After a year, I started to notice that my stomach was not doing well. And I was attributing to the medication. It felt like I had poison in my system, like a burning and discomfort. You know, and again, these are the GI issues that can happen: stomach pain, indigestion. I didn't have the vomiting. I may have had some nausea, but that I would attribute to the vertigo. I wouldn't attribute it specifically to Tecfidera. But at a certain point, I knew I was going to be driving across the country to relocate, and I knew that that would be a trip of 2 weeks. At that point, I was having a lot of stomach pain. I went to my naturopath and I said to him, can we test this to see what's happening? Because in my, you know, you have your intuition, right? And I think as people living with MS, we become more attuned to our body. Like, we are really in sync with our body. So I said, I think there's something happening with my stomach. He muscle tested it, which some people may not believe in, but I think it's fantastic. So that is, I'm holding the package with the medication. I'm holding it to the area that is upset. It has the pills in the package, and he's testing me. And he's like, yeah, your body does not like this. It is saying, get this drug away from me. And then he did some other checks in my system that he does. And he said, yeah, like your stomach is having a hard time right now digesting proteins, and it is related to Tecfidera. Now, that is my personal experience. I can't say that anybody else is having that. But when I go onto the online forums and I look at comments that others are writing, flushing is a huge one. It's like big rocket. Not for everyone. You know, we're all unique individuals, and stomach issues. So these are big. They're not small. They call them common side effects, but they can be debilitating. Now, it wasn't debilitating to the point where, you know, I was doubled over with pain, but I was not happy. And I just, in my gut, felt that it was time to get off this medication. And it's interesting because other people I've spoken to, not necessarily about Tecfidera, but other MS medications, they have found that sort of at the 2-year mark, that's when the side effects are at their worst. What does that say? Is the drug really helping at that point? I decided that I would go off of Tecfidera. Now, I did talk to my neurologist about it, and she did not want me to go off cold turkey. She said there can be some rebound effects of it. At the time, I didn't research this. I was just like, I'm getting off this shit, man. Yes, I seem to be stable, but I can't 100% attribute that to this drug. It's the risk I'm willing to take. And because I was moving, it's not like my neurologist could then just put me on another drug. So she wanted me to stay on it until I got to across the country and got hooked up with another neurologist. But that could have been like 3-6 months. I didn't know how long it would take me in Canada because, you know, you don't pay for someone. It goes through the medical system, and that takes time. I said, I'm not suffering when I go across the country and having stomach issues while I'm trying to drive, even though myself and my sweetie were doing it together. It's exhausting. I already live with fatigue. I want my body to be as happy as possible. Plus, it was very hot, and we didn't have air conditioning in our car. So we made the best of it. I went off the medication. I seemed fine in terms of not having a rebound effect at that time, which was great. So I thought I was in the clear. Basically, about, I'd say a month after I went off the medication, I basically kicked into a relapse. And it was very unpleasant. It was bigger than one that I'd had in a while in terms of the intensity of the vertigo. Fortunately, I have a homeopath who can work with me remotely since I moved and was able to send me naturopathic medicine to move that relapse through more quickly. But it was very unpleasant and I was shocked, and I really didn't feel very well for quite some time. I would say a couple of months. So that was the thing about stopping Tecfidera suddenly. Probably not a good idea, but I think it could have happened anyway, even if I'd weaned off it. I have a very sensitive system, so maybe I'm affected more. When you go on a medication, there are going to be side effects, whether it's Tecfidera or something else. And you have to decide for yourself, like I did, what's worse. Is the medication actually preventing the progression of MS? Is that like up like this compared to the side effects? Or is it looking like this, like the side effects are way up high and making your life miserable? These are the questions we have to ask ourselves. Obviously, you have your own choice and opinion on this. For me, I'm not waiting for the cure. I'm living my life now. I've decided to continue to treat myself naturally and not go on medication. I did dip into Mavenclad, and I have videos on my experience there, but I only did 1 year as an experiment, and I didn't carry on with the second year. So you've got my opinion, you certainly have yours. Write your comments below. I want to hear from you. If you haven't subscribed, be sure to subscribe, like, and share. My name is Jen DeTracy. This is the Women Thriving with MS channel. Thanks for watching, and we will see you soon.